So today, as we approach the grand finale, the great finale of this fantastic conference, I will try to revisit our place as individuals and MyData community in time and space. And this is because I'm puzzling and I'm trying to figure out why, as we still keep entering and engaging in this wonderful conversation, we still have the same habits at the end of the day. In our daily life, nothing changes much. So I came up with this particular title as I was in another conference and delivering a presentation, and I received it as a question. And it really occurred to me, and I really started thinking, why? But I still do, which was really interesting, and I started digging a little bit on that. And I was trying to figure out what makes me feeling great being stuck in these wonderful environments like the Googles and the Facebooks. So I don't know if anyone follows or likes the casino, but this is a wonderful scene that everyone has experienced, I guess. And this is in the offline space. And at the same time, we have these very common platforms that we are all living in. Does anyone, can anyone think what is in common between a casino and the Googles and the Facebook platforms? Any ideas? I sat down and figured it out, and both, especially the high-end machine slots, do have strategic algorithms. They do have strategic machine ergonomics. The whole thing, the whole scenery feels great. It makes you becoming engaged with the experience. Strategic architecture. This one is something that I really I really liked. Ambience management. It's like the so-called, it feels great, and it makes you feel great. Of course, the user and player tracking, which leads us to the final component of these architectures, which is addiction. To date, in these communities and the legal communities and the privacy communities, we're talking about privacy by design. Everyone has heard about the concept of privacy by design. More or less everyone here, we're talking about how we're going to create and update our design towards privacy. But no one has really thought the concept of addiction by design, because at the moment, this is where we are. This is where we are, and this is the design that we need to tackle and go from addiction by design to privacy by design. Because addiction by design leads us to lose our self-awareness. What are we talking about is in this environment is about losing agency, losing autonomy. This is already happening because we are addicted by design. At the same time, our behavior is being automated at large and at scale. And there's nothing that we can do in the sense that we cannot even feel it. Or even if we feel it, it feels great. So while we are consuming more and more time on the device, instead of living outside this spiral, we're entering into a vicious cycle. So this started making me, I started thinking, Gmail, what's going on? Why are we still there? I don't know if it's a coincidence, but the Gmail was launched on April Fool's Day in 2004. And we had some very nice takes while the Gmail was launched. For the first time, we had so much storage capacity. Larry Page said that Gmail solves all of my communication needs. It's great, I love it, and we all do. Which makes it more difficult to really go away, because at the moment we are entering into this, I don't know if you have heard about it, this dispossession cycle, which is about our online experience and our real-time experience. What is this dispossession cycle about? It's about the way the GAFAMs are harvesting, extracting, and rendering this online and offline experience. So the first step of the cycle is the incursion. It's like Columbus when he stepped his foot in America, he claimed his right to uncharted lands in the name of the king. The legal medium for the GAFAMs today for this massive incursion is the right to expression. So claiming this right to expression, I claim my right to your data, which is a very nice and convincing narrative for harvesting our data. At the same time, at the time that we start reflecting on this incursion, we realize that the new practices are already habit. We are already habituated in this new behavioral engineering, I would call it. So incursion is perceived as inevitable. There's nothing we can do. If we go outside of this environment, we will be marginalized. So we start thinking and revolting and protesting in a way. But at that moment, the engineering of the engineering adaptation satisfied the government and the public already. The GAFAMs have already satisfied the governmental and the individual needs towards their own ends. So when things tend to be quite evident, we have the last part of the cycle, which is redirection. We create a culture that is compliant with social and legal demands. If you think about it, the only entities that are absolutely compliant to the GDPR is Google and Facebook at the end of the day, in terms of the basic static requirements of the law. It's amazing. It's really amazing. So this cycle leads to the rendering of our behavior and the transforming of our digital footprint and our own offline footprint to behavioral surplus, which is translated to market value. You can find this theory in this profound book. I will not talk a bit more about this. So I started thinking, actually, the first time that I realized that I really need to do something is when I received a response email from a colleague of mine saying, look, I'm not using Gmail anymore because Gmail in the Google environment has some inclinations and implications that I cannot deal with anymore. So I started thinking, is it the Gmail the end of the journey? No, because we are entering in a new phase which is backed up by the new environment which is called Web 3.0. If to date we were to the Web 2.0 era, which was about communicating online via the social media. Now we are in the Web 3 era, where the machines communicate by themselves in an autonomous way. So they are deciding in their own way how they're going to treat and communicate and transfer and redirect our data. And at the same time, instead of start reflecting on that, we are entering into new, I wouldn't call it creepy, but weird trends like the lifelogging, which at the end of the day is storing and documenting and transmitting our daily life. Lifelogging is a very massive trend as we tend to record and share all our experience with many numerous and newcomers in the recording industry, like video, audio, wearable cameras. We have the GoPro, we have the Google Nest system, we have wearable devices, scanning, AI chatbots, and we are entering into this environment. So as you can see, instead of going out, we are gradually entering deeper and deeper in this cycle of lifelogging, which provides the best material for the GAFAMs to create more and more market value through our behavioral surplus. So the lifelogging objective, what's the lifelogging objective? Which is twofold. It has positive sides and negative sides at the same time, because we need to allow future AIs to access and provide insights into your mind. We had these discussions with some colleagues during this event, talking about the need and the necessity to have a super advanced digital twin, our AI companion that will lead us and mentor us in our life by annotating the reality through our digital twins lenses. And at the same time, this is something that I haven't heard, to be honest, during the conference, where we are talking a lot about AI, but I haven't heard that much about AR, augmented reality and virtual reality, because these super fantastic AIs are going to create a new environment in an AR cloud platform not owned by anyone and not controlled by us. So instead of mitigating this trend, we're going to literally transpose and transfer all this experience in the augmented reality and virtual reality environments. And we are entering into this reality is hyper-converged. And guess what? Guess who is in charge of this conversion? It's Alphabet Go. This statistic, actually, this is an installation from Glassroom in San Francisco, which describes the way the Alphabet Go is extending in different technological and financial domains. So you can see some stats. More than 180 companies is the number that Alphabet Go invested, and a further 400 expanding in services to mobile video, the Google Nest, the body. Because if you think about it, this is the last frontier, the last resort, and the last source for data and behavioral surplus. Which means that the globe is a new apparatus with unprecedented storage, high-stakes design, access to new capabilities, more or less we're talking about the AIs here, convergence of sensors, billions of sensors communicating with each other, high bandwidth, 5G connectivity, and everything in super high speed. And we are in the middle, and we need to think about humanness in this super highly converged environment. Because this is me and you, this is you and me, you and me, you and me. So we are at digital models. Oral properties are being cataloged in order to feed the system. We have behavior prediction, we have patterns systemized, and at the same time we need to think. But at the end of the day, if you think about it, our digital self is not necessarily our literal self. So there is this notion that we are not our self is not our data. We can be many selves. We can wear many hats, and these hats are being filtered in a totally different way. So humanness is under pressure by systematic digitization due to interconnectivity, massive profiling, algorithmic decisions, machine learning, surveillance, and big data analysis. And still we're in the center of this hyper-connected new world. So what is our community doing? What's next? Is there anything that we can reflect and think about? I came across to this Amars Law, which more or less says that we tend to overestimate the effect of a technology in the short run and underestimate the effect in the long run. If you think about it in visibility and time, the graph goes like this, and we have the technology trigger, we have the peak, and then things start to slow down, trough of disillusionment, slope of enlightenment, and at the end of the day, gradually we enter into the plateau of productivity. If I switch a little bit the terms, and instead of the technology, I put the GDPR, I think that when the GDPR entered the discussion, at least in Europe, but more or less in the whole world, it was a massive case. It was something that everybody was talking about it. I stepped in the baker shop, and he was asking me whether he needed a data protection officer. It was massive. gradually the discussion has been declining as the people do not really understand what the GDPR is about. They interpret it and translate it as something really static. So things are losing pace in a way. And this is where I believe that MyData has a crucial role to play, because I call MyData as the GDPR plus. So if we manage to enlighten the GDPR concept through the MyData principles, we gradually will end up operating at the plateau of productivity. But at the moment, we are somewhere here. We're still not in the phase of entering at the plateau of productivity. But there is one asset that we have in place and that there is a lot of value. This asset is the applied knowledge. So during these 3 years, 4 years that MyData exists, we keep creating knowledge and experience. And this knowledge will allow us to enter into different applications to trial and error mode, so more or less. So the applied knowledge will lead us gradually to the plateau of productivity by converging the static GDPR formalities with the updated solution proposed by the MyData principles. Oops, yes. So, at the moment, in the beginning, it was the universe, our globe. Our globe starts with a G, and G also goes for Google. So, from my view, instead of aiming at a universe, we should aim at a multiverse where everyone as individual and as MyData operator, I wouldn't say as a MyData initiator or activist or whatever, but starting from what Paula said, starting from loving our data, we could become MyData agents and start creating a multiverse instead of a universe. Thank you.